Students, this is the part 2 of the chapter constructors. Here we are going to see the solved question answers. Exercise solved question answers. Okay. First question is, what is a constructor? Why is it needed in a program? So a constructor in Java is a block of code similar to a method that is called when an instance of an object is created. A constructor is needed to initialize the data members with legal initial values. Next, state the characteristics of a constructor. The characteristics of a constructors are: it has the name same as that of the class name. Second one, it does not have any return type. Third one, it follows the usual rules of accessibility as other members of the class, and therefore access modifiers can be applied to it. Next, fourth one, it gets called automatically whenever an object is created. Next question is, how are constructors invoked? Constructor function gets called, or that is invoked automatically whenever an object is created. Then why do we need a constructor as a class member? A constructor is a special member method which will be called by the JVM implicitly for placing user or programmer defined values instead of placing default values. Constructors are meant for initializing the object. Okay. The next one is, state the difference between function and constructor. Following are the difference between constructor and method. Constructor is used to initialize object, whereas method is used to exhibits functionality of an object. Second one, constructors are invoked implicitly, whereas methods are invoked explicitly. Okay, you can write like this, or you can make the tabular column and write. For 2 marks question, you have to write 3 differences. Okay, then how are private constructors called? Private constructors allows an object to be created only within the methods of the class where it is private. What are the different types of constructors available in Java? That is parameterized constructors and non-parameterized constructors. Then what is a default constructor? When we do not explicitly define a constructor for a class, then Java creates a default constructor for the class. It is essentially a non-parameterized constructor, that is, it does not accept any arguments. The default constructor job is to call the superclass constructors and initialize all the instant variables. Then point out the difference between implicit and explicit default constructor. Implicit default constructor is the default constructor created by Java if the user do not create a constructor. Explicit default constructor is a non-parameterized constructor defined by the user to initialize the data members with the legal initial values. Now, what are temporary objects? How they are created? Explain with the help of an example. So, temporary objects are instance of the ones that live in the memory as long as it is being used for reference in an expression, and after that it dies. Temporary objects are created by explicit call to a constructor preceded with a new command. For example, say uh, temporarily we are using 2 variables here, that is x and y, that will initialize the values of a and b. Okay, so this is called temporary variables. Here the statement new term of 1 comma 2 of the statement new term of 1 show off creates an anonymous temporary object that lives in the memory as long as the show of the statement is executed. Okay, so once it executed, the value will go. So this is called as temporary objects. Then what is constructor overloading? So already we studied that constructor overloading means that if we are using more than one constructor inside a class with different parameters. Okay, so here see public, class name is perimeter. Here the first function is perimeter with the parameter int x. The next constructor also, the name is perimeter, but the parameters are different, that is x and y. Okay. Next one is what is destructor? Is destructor function necessary in Java? This destructor part is not in your syllabus, so if you want to learn the answer, you have to learn it. What is the implicit return type of a constructor function? The implicit return type is the class itself. Then if any two variables, enter any two variables through constructor with parameters and write a program to swap and print the values. So first a equal to x is equal to y. Here we are swapping the values, a equal to b and b equal to, first we are storing the value a in a temporary variable and we are swapping the values. T equal to a, temporary we have stored a, then a equal to b, b equal to t. So here we are going to see the B part. Consider the following code and answer the questions that follow. This is the code. Okay. So class name is my class. Here we are instant variables, two variables we are using A and B, and this is a constructor with the parameters x and y. Here we are assigning the value of A as x and B as y. Another constructor that is having the argument or the parameter x, a equal to b equal to x. So the value of a and b are x. Then show system dot out dot println of a plus then space then y. Public stated this is the main function. So what are the questions they asked? So the answer is like this. Okay, here we are going to find out the errors that in the program. So what is the program here? Okay, it is like this, it is like this, it is, and here also. So what are the errors here? Okay, in the main object creation the errors are there. Okay, so object 2 um, that is new my class of, here we have to pass two values. Okay, in the question it is object 1 new class of, object 2 they are passed three values. Okay, it is an error. We have to pass two values, and in object 3 we have to use two values, and okay, this is the correct code of that question. Okay, next consider the following code and answer the following questions given below. So this is the code. What is the object name of the class? So what is the object here? Student. Okay, name the instant variables used. Instant variable means the variables used inside the class are two variables, that is x and y. What are the name of the local variables? So these are the local variables, that is a and b. Give the type of function being used and its name, that is procedural function name, that is access. Okay, next program, state the output of the following program segment. So this is the program segment here. Static int a, character b. So these are static variables, and here a value 20, b is equal to a character z. Here we are going to convert all into a character, a and b into a character. Okay, then name the instant variables and local variables. Instant variables क्या है? B, this is static. Okay, so the class variable is a, and the local variable is, what is the local variable? This one, c. And second one, what is the name of the constructor of that above class? So what is the name of the constructor? Find out today. Okay, today of. So today of is the name of the constructor. Explain the line today t equal to new today of. An object named t is to be created of today type. The next one is, in the program given below, state the name and value of. First one, the method argument or argument variables. So these are the argument variables, that is main of method, string arguments of, sample method of. So these are the arguments. Then class variables, we are using class variables x, local variables What is the local variable? A. Okay, inside the constructor we are using local. Then instant variable is Y. Next, section B, programming um, for this constructor. Write a program. Define a class called box having members. So the class name is box. So one advantage of advantage here is they will give all the details about the program here. Only we have to see the details and write the program. So class name is already given. What are the members? Members means what are the variables we are using inside the program, they have already given. And member functions, what are the functions we are using inside the program, also given. So the class name is box having the members. What are the variables? Length, breadth and height, all are integer type. Member functions, what are the functions we used? Constructor to initialize the data member. First function we are going to initialize the data members, and second function to compute and display the volume. So in the second function we are going to calculate and display the value, the volume. So first we are starting the program class box. So the class name is box. So what are the variables used here? Length, breadth and height, where the data type is integer, that is int length, breadth, height. The next function to initialize the data members. We are going to initialize these variables with some initial values, that is box of. The class name and the constructor name we are able to use the same name, box of int L, int B, int H. So what is the value of length? L. What is the value of breadth? B. What is the value of height? H. And void compute of int volume, VOL. Volume equal to length into breadth into height. Here we are printing the value. So the next one is define a class name for side having the members at length. What are the data members we used here? That is length and the breadth. Member function, that is overloaded constructor to initialize the dimensions of four side of the figure with the square. With a square and a rectangle, compute the area and display it. Also create the main of method to show the implementation of the above methods. So the class name is four side. So in the length and breadth, four side in S, then length breadth equal to side. Okay, so these are the sides of a rectangle. Then four side, next one is, that is in length and breadth, length equal to L, breadth equal to D. Next value is compute of, you have to calculate the area of a square, area of a rectangle here. Okay, then what is the next? We have to display all the values and the main of function. This is the main function. Here we are calling all the objects here. Next question is to find the sum of the natural numbers for the following formula. So the formula is here. First we have to initialize all the variables, then we have to find out the value by using the formula and display it. Okay, so students, all are the same programs. Some programs are by using if else statement. Okay, so what you have to do is, you already know about the if else statement, only you have to understand the questions and you have to know how to create the objects and all, and how to write the main method. So only this much is there. What you have to need is, you have to practice the programs. Okay, so 10 programs are solved here. So if you are able to solve the remaining programs, you have to practice it, and the remaining things are same. Only you have to create the constructors according to the name, and all the other things, these are by using the if else statement. We already studied here. Yeah. So you have to practice all this. So students, this chapter is going to over here. So study all the solved question answers and the unsolved questions that we have solved here also, and practice the programs under the chapter constructor.